I'm gonna guess lion, tiger, kangaroo hybrid. This is not Hunter x Hunter. Holy shit.
This was the king of the Ice Age. In other words, the Smilodon.
Smilodon? Okay, so I was close. I feel productive in my life for once. Let's get to it though. Oh shit, forgot. Sorry, I still believe y'all. You just gotta take that little shit. You gotta take that little shit. That's good, y'all. We're reacting today. As you can possibly see, I finally did something different for once. Listen, y'all. Y'all see the video, right? Y'all read the title, clap your fucking hands. Be proud of me, bro. Be proud. I did something different. I've been living animals my whole life. Roly-polies when I was little. I don't think I could do them now, but I probably could. I just haven't tried. Charm and all the other shit. But the worst creature to run into during the Ice Age, I'm gonna guess lion, tiger, kangaroo hybrid. This is not Hunter x Hunter. Holy shit. Let's just start the video, bro. Let's just go ahead and do this.
To become an apex predator, one thing you must be is a predator. It's in the name, after all. And because an apex predator means that you're king in your environment, it's not crazy to say that some predators have it good. But if life was so good for the top dogs, then why are predators seldomly bigger than their prey? Well, the answer has to do with the fact that herbivores get their energy straight from the energy producers themselves.
Exactly. Herbivores eat straight from the earth naturally. The earth gives a lot of food. That's reasonable for them to be that big.
While carnivores have to rely on getting their share through the herbivores, which usually ends up with them receiving just 10% of what the herbivore originally received from the producer.
Energy conservation and all that. That doesn't work for humans, by the way. It doesn't work. Vegetarians cannot get buff. It's not
leading to predators having smaller sizes on average. This size difference has led to evolution, giving predators a wide array of menacing tools and weapons in order to help even the playing field. Such traits have included things like a powerful bite, razor-sharp claws, and pack hunting. And clearly it's worked out well, as many predators...
I love how, like... Sorry, I'm pausing a lot already. But that's really crazy for him to say that, because that really sounds like one day they were just fighting alone. They were like, damn, we're always dying. And then they were like, one day we're like, you know what, let's fight together. That's absurd evolution thoughts. And they just decided, yeah, let's fight together. And it worked.
Are able to take down prey much bigger than themselves.
Come on,
but once in a blue moon, a carnivore comes along that takes the ability of big game hunting to the extreme, developing weapons solely designed for giants alone. And only a few thousand years ago, there was one kitty cat roaming the earth that had perfected this art. This was the king of the Ice Age. In other words, the Smilodon.
Smilodon? Okay, so I was close. I said lion, tiger, kangaroo hybrid. Leopard, lion face, hyena back. I don't know what those fangs are. Hyena? No. I forgot who has the big fangs. Fuck.
Thanks to its striking appearance and giant saber teeth, the Smilodon is one of those extinct animals that nearly everyone knows, or at least recognizes. A situation helped by its portrayal in famous movies such as Ice Age. And yet, despite the world knowing it's a cat, it did not start out this way, as when it was first discovered over 160 years ago in Brazil, paleontologists first thought that it was an extremely large hyena.
Oh yeah, let's just go bigger version of an animal that already exists. Oh my fucking god. I guess
its misplaced judgment was based on isolated cheek teeth which heavily resembled those seen in living hyenas. And soon enough, this new animal was dubbed Hyena neogaia. However, luckily for the Smilodon's legacy, it was quickly found out that there were much more fossils laying around than just some teeth. And within a couple of years, dozens of new body parts were identified, including foot bones, skull material, and giant canines that seemed almost too big for this creature's mouth. With these additional bones, they could also tell that this had never been a hyena. But
you know what's kind of funny about that picture? Hold on. What if it was flabby though? Because hippos kind of look like this and they're flabby as hell. What if Yo, look at that foot, bro. That foot's throwing me off.
But rather a distinct genus of felid that was undeniably giant in stature, and far more robust than any known modern cat. With this in mind, paleontologists decided to rename it to Smilodon.
Why does it have link ears? Link ears? Yeah, he looks like a fucking elf. Why does it have lynx ears?
Populator, with the Smilodon portion meaning knife tooth after its giant teeth, while populator supposedly translates into the destroyer, or he who brings devastation, a fitting species name considering the lethalness of this predator. Along with a name change, the reclassification led to more research into what kind of felid the Smilodon was exactly, a task that is continued to this day, with paleontologists currently placing it in the now extinct subfamily, the Machairodontinae, which contains the vast majority of what people often call saber-toothed tigers.
So literally everything in here, by the way, is extinct. I just want to let you know. Everything on this is extinct. Literally everything.
Although a more fitting nickname is saber-toothed cats,
a seal?
as this group is not closely related to tigers or any other living cat for that matter, with perhaps their closest relatives being members of the Felinae family. Within the Machairodontinae,
what did I say? Felinae family. I saw links connected. I'm just saying, I told you. The link here is kind of the link. Just press play.
Smilodon was further classified as being a Smilodontinae member, who have their very own moniker, the dirk-toothed cats. So far, this is only known to house 5 different genera, making it a rather lonely group. Yet, over the years it has grown in size, but not through the discovery of new genera, but rather by the discovery of new Smilodon species, as older remains were eventually found in North America that were assigned to 2 different species, resulting in there being 3 accepted types of Smilodon today.
What the fuck? Look how big it got. Look how big it got. One of them looks like a large dog. Not super large, but large. Then you got an omega-sized dog and then a baby hippo. No, a teen hippo or some shit.
The populator, fatalis, and gracilis. If you were being chased by any one of them, you'd probably not care which was which, nor be able to tell them apart. Damn. But they did have their differences, with one of the biggest contrasts.
Yeah, because they fought like bears. I need a trauma to come through with the camera and show me what they actually fought like, because no way they fought like bears. I refuse to believe
being when they lived. Gracilis was the oldest of the bunch, having evolved in North America from the older Meganterion approximately 2.5 million years ago. The second oldest, Fatalis, came along about 1 million years later, followed finally by the Populator, who appeared about 600,000 years after the Fatalis. Another area where the 3 differed was in size, as each new iteration was larger than the last, and therefore Gracilis was the smallest, while Populator was the giant of the 3.
So what I'm hearing is evolution stopped them from growing any bigger because they would have got elephant size at some point. Okay, good to know.
Don't get it twisted though, because ultimately each of these 3 species were pretty huge by cat standards, with certain specimens actually making the Smilodon one of the largest known felids to date. Presently, paleontologists believe that Gracilis was likely the same weight as a jaguar, the 3rd largest cat on Earth today. Meanwhile, Fatalis was a bit bigger, with individuals having similar dimensions to that of an African lion. However, they were much heavier on average due to the more muscular build, with their weight being around 280 kilos or 620 pounds.
And I bet money they could climb trees.
Which makes it equivalent to large tigers,
Jesus
the biggest
Christ.
current felid that we have, discounting hybrids. But things get even more hectic when you move on to the Populator, who was ridiculously large, with the bigger bones we know of, namely an exceptional skull, indicating
Christ.
a max body size of around 470 kilos or 1,040 pounds.
You're gonna tell me there was a cat out there that was 1,000? You're gonna tell me there was a cat out there that weighed a ton? Wait, is a ton 1,000 pounds or is it 2,000? Let me do my Googles. I would do it on my thing, but I don't like typing. It's 2,000. So you're telling me there was a cat out there that was half a fucking ton? Jesus Christ, bro.
So about the same weight as a medium-sized polar bear,
Oh
Earth's
my God.
current largest terrestrial carnivore.
Jesus Christ.
And the nice thing about the Smilodon,
And it wasn't even the biggest one out there. It was actually considered small. by the way,
is that most studies find that it didn't have a high level of sexual dimorphism, meaning males and females were usually around the same size. In other words, there were a lot of large individuals, and given its size, it's widely accepted to have been an apex predator in each of its environments. But the Smilodon wasn't just big, because as mentioned, it was very robust as well. The first sign that this prehistoric cat wasn't interested in small prey. Specifically, Smilodons had very thick and sturdy bones that in life would have been roped with large amounts of muscle.
Jesus Christ, bro.
The heel bone in particular was quite robust, and not to mention long, which indicates that the Smilodon was an excellent jumper, who likely used its vertical leap to jump on top of big-bodied herbivores.
What did I say? It can climb trees. Oh.
And despite no one knowing what its true leaping prowess really was, it's been speculated to have been able to jump higher than the modern lion, who's been observed at times at jumping over 15 feet or 4.5 meters high.
That's not normal.
Another area where the Smilodon was well built was in its forelimbs.
So what I'm hearing is if I got on top of my house, it wouldn't matter. It would just jump on the side and climb up to the top of my house and still snatch me out of the air and slam me in my neck.
Naturally, all large felids have powerful forelimbs that are designed to hold down struggling prey. But Smilodon really took this to the next level, as its forelimbs were about 20% thicker than what scientists would usually expect of a cat its size. This gave its forearms ridiculous power that was even greater than that of cats bigger than it, like the American lion, for example. With its shredded forearms, the Smilodon could have easily held down massive prey, and they were further empowered by fully retractable claws. But these claws were not like the claws of a lion or a tiger, because while they were razor sharp and curved, the Smilodon's claws were proportionally ginormous, as seemingly many things on its body were, and reconstructions have found them to have been twice the size of the claws.
Alright, question of the day, who the fuck wrote, let me not use that phrase. I almost use a crazy phrase. I'm still gonna use it. Who wrote the numbers on the damn tiger teeth, bro? Who did that? Who did it?
A Siberian tiger,
that's never gonna go
and
away.
Even longer than those of a Kodiak brown bear, which is sometimes twice the body weight of a fully grown Smilodon. These claws could have clearly cut straight through flesh, but their size was more of an adaptation for holding down large animals rather than dealing damage, with its true weapon, or damage dealer, being its infamous saber teeth.
Yeah.
These iconic weapons are actually not unique to the Smilodon, and they've appeared in other mammals and even
don't show me an animal that I literally don't know what I'm looking at. What was
non-mammals multiple times throughout history.
Teeth going to the mouth.
This then may make you wonder why the Smilodon is by far the most popular animal with saber teeth. And the answer is thanks to their length. Just like its claws, its canines were supersized, proportionally speaking. So much so, in fact, that they protruded well out of its mouth, a feature that is quite uncommon in other saber-toothed cats, like the Homotherium. These massive saber teeth could grow to be 8 inches or 20.3 centimeters long.
8 inches is relatively... It's about this long, bro. Its tooth could bite through my entire shit. Its tooth could literally go through from left to right of my temple and go to the other side, and it could bite down on the other side. We survived through this, by the way.
And thus making them the biggest saber teeth of any known felid.
Oh my god.
But they weren't just for bragging rights, because on top of being long, these canines were well adapted to pierce deep into flesh, with the tops having been a sharp point while the sides were smooth and narrow, and therefore increasing the amount of force concentrated at the tips, letting the Smilodon create catastrophic puncture wounds. Surprisingly, the design was so efficient that it allowed the Smilodon to get away with a not-so-powerful bite. In fact, studies found that it could only bite with a force of 1,000 newtons.
It's like stabbing with a stick versus a knife. That's why.
4 times weaker than the bite of a lion. And this weak bite is also reflected by the durability of the canines, as each was slender and fragile. This just goes to show, though, that a good piercing weapon doesn't need a lot of force to be effective. But it did make paleontologists wonder how the Smilodon killed, as its teeth wouldn't have been able to simply attack any point in the body. This led to many ideas on the nature of its killing mechanism, with one of the more popular ones being that individuals would have utilized ambushes in dense vegetation to grab or leap onto a prey, which they could then subdue with their claws, allowing them to sink their saber teeth into the prey's soft belly.
Yeah, I'm gonna guess that they probably held their prey down with their big ass forearms that were super thick. They would just hold them down. Maybe one, maybe even more than one. They would hold them down and they would just bite to the neck, bite to the body, or they would try to rip them apart alive, like a bear.
Thus destroying their guts and incurring massive blood loss. While brutal, most have pushed back on this hypothesis, instead favoring the equally grim idea that Smilodon either used quick thrusting attacks or a deep bite to wreck a prey's throat, invoking severe blood loss and suffocation amongst other unpleasant symptoms.
Yeah, pretty much what I said.
Further studies also revealed that its jaw could open up to 120 degrees while biting, nearly double that of what's seen in humans, meaning that pretty much every neck out there was on the menu. These teeth combined with its claws made it one fearsome predator. Yet it wasn't bronze alone that gave the Smilodon success, as scans of its brain cavity suggested that it had a high level of coordination, hearing, and amazing vision that was further backed by its eye sockets, as their shape implied binocular vision. And as a cherry on top, they seemed to be very fast too, as a good percentage of Smilodons had trauma to their sternums, which is generally seen as a result of high-velocity collisions with prey. These traits, combined with its arsenal, allowed the Smilodon to hunt down a wide range of megafaunal prey, which greatly varied depending on where a given Smilodon lived. In North America, for example, species typically hunted giant extinct bison, camels, Glyptotherium, peccary.
What the fuck is a glypto? Yo, it's pissing me off the fact that I'm looking at a big ass armadillo and it's telling me something different. Hogs. Kill more hogs.
Laminoids, and occasionally mastodons and Columbian mammoths, the largest animals around at the time.
We just had mammoth, okay.
Meanwhile, in South America, prey included toxodontids,
so old young hippos,
litopterns.
What even is that, bro? And why is it so big? What even is that? What, you know what? Video about animals.
Various glyptodonts, horses, camelids, and even caimans. While we know that
why are we out here eating horses? Well, never mind. Wild horses did survive all the way up to now, so I guess, yeah. I guess horses really do be out there in the wild.
Some of these animals were definitely prey, based on skeletal evidence. We are less certain on what the main prey was, a question that also depends on if the Smilodon was a social creature or not, as pack hunting would imply larger prey more often. One of the biggest pieces of evidence that we have for a social lifestyle among Smilodon comes from the La Brea tar pits in California. These pits are referred to as predator traps, as for whenever one animal gets stuck, numerous predators would often get trapped alongside them, after they tried to get an easy meal, which leads to 90% of the La Brea bones coming from predators themselves. And Smilodon was no exception, and is actually the second most common find in the pits, with over 160,000 fossils being attributed to it.
So you're telling me, again, alright, now I'm on the other side. You're telling me that these animals will watch their friends and family go into these pits and die, and they were like, you know what? Let's try it again. And you want me to believe that these animals would have beat the current us right now at this exact moment?
This high yield has convinced many that Smilodon prowled in groups, since in modern cats, the more social kinds typically respond more to distress calls. Thus, the larger number of remains is assigned to some that Smilodon was highly sensitive to distress calls, which indicates gregarious hunting. Another, perhaps more interesting argument, is what has been dubbed by some to be pseudo-healthcare. Specifically, certain paleontologists have pointed out how multiple Smilodons with extensive trauma or abnormalities who should have died seem to have survived, indicating that they were taken care of.
So they were like, hey man, you got a bad leg, it's okay. Just take care of the little ones for us. So they were smart enough to pull together a community? Oh god. Oh my fucking god.
A popular example of this was an individual that had signs of hip dysplasia at a young age, and still managed to survive well into adulthood. Of course though, there are those who think it was more of a loner, pointing out how skeletons found outside of predator traps are more isolated. Whatever the case,
Well, I mean, then again, he probably was watching something else, and then they got ran up on, and he had to, give himself up.
Smilodon was no doubt amongst the most dominant predators around. But it was by no means the only carnivore, for it lived with multiple other iconic predators, the most important of which, in its case, was the American lion and direwolves, as isotopic analysis showed that these predators had the most similar diet to that of the Smilodon, making them its biggest competitors. Although, despite direwolves having the numbers and American lions having the size, Smilodon seemed to do just fine against them.
So what I'm hearing is, in history, the middleman always loses. That's what I'm hearing. Because lions are bigger, there was more wolves, but the one dead center, they were like, yeah, now you gotta go. Man, that's what I'm hearing. So, in history, the middleman always loses.
Perhaps thanks to its canines being on full display 24/7, which would have intimidated nearly any animal around. Regarding the American lion, the two most likely tried their best to avoid each other, but fights at times were a given considering how similar their diets were, and in such fights, it was likely anyone's game. On the other hand, competition with the direwolf seemed to be more in favor of the Smilodon, as La Brea remains hint that direwolves would often yield their own kills to Smilodons, that were then completely devoured, flesh and bone alike. Besides quote-unquote cats and dogs, there were large bears around too, namely the short-faced bears, whose members could get quite a bit heavier than even the largest.
Ew, bro, ew, literally ew. Why is the bear's legs that long? Ew. But I wonder what it's like for a wild animal to eat cooked food for the first time, and what it's like eating raw. It's like, I wonder if they eat cooked food and they enjoy it as much as we do, or like, are their taste buds forever stuck in the raw meat only phase? I kind of wonder. I kind of want to know if I cook a steak for a tiger and give it to him, big ass steak though, gotta be big ass steak. Would it like the cookness, or would it just be like, you burned it? It's just nasty. I wonder.
Recorded Smilodon, with a few reaching the size of literal dinosaurs, like Ceratosaurus and average-sized Allosauruses. However, these bear behemoths possessed more omnivorous diets, which helped to likely ease tensions between the two species.
Ew, bro.
Also, these bears tended to be more solitary. Therefore, if the Smilodon wasn't alone, then a bear most likely would not choose to engage, and thus avoiding a fight and leaving the carcass for the cats. And this mention of carcasses actually brings up a pretty good question not yet addressed, which is, how the heck did Smilodon eat food? Well, due to their saber teeth, they couldn't eat from the front like most animals can.
So they just shoved it straight to the back.
Instead, they were equipped with blade-like carnassials that would overlap in a shearing motion, slicing and dicing through flesh like butter. These teeth were situated on either side of the mouth, allowing individuals to munch on pieces of meat with their heads turned, and thus bypassing the obstructiveness of their canines. And interestingly enough, such a method is still seen.
Oh, I didn't think about that. Yeah, well, I kind of said that. I said they just straight to the back. They would just eat right there. They just let it fall in there.
In cats today, and other predators as well, which pretty much showcases, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Ultimately, its peculiar teeth led to Smilodon being both rather odd and highly successful, despite being the youngest of the saber-toothed cats. And between the three species, it achieved a vast distribution within the Western Hemisphere.
Oh my God,
in North America, Gracilis and Fatalis had a near universal range.
Gracilis is only in Florida. And is that New Mexico? And then California, like the very bottom. And then the Fatalis was literally everywhere. In parts of, is that Quebec? I forgot.
And were found as far north as Alberta, Canada, and ranged between both coasts. In South America, where Fatalis and Populator resided, they were equally widespread.
Nope, look, they're grassless. I don't know what country that is. I'm curious.
Having established a domain that extended all the way south to Patagonia. And Smilodon wasn't just good at spreading far and wide, but also capitalizing on mixed.
Again, that just puts together more and more that Pangea was indeed a thing. I refuse to not believe that. Pangea was a thing. Just let's not fight that.
Biomes, with remains showing that it adapted to live in grasslands, plains, woodlands, closed forests, savannas, subtropical forests, and mammoth steppes.
What the hell is a closed forest compared to an open one? What does that mean? What is that? You know what? Stop asking questions, bro, that you don't know the answer to. Stop asking.
With such an impressive distribution, it's no surprise that this apex predator lived alongside a plethora of other Pleistocene and Holocene icons that included short-faced bears, proboscideans, ground sloths, glyptodonts, toxodontids, camels, deer, horses, bison, terror birds, other large cats, multiple canids, alligators, snakes, crocs, caimans, and many, many more. It also lived with an animal we are very familiar with, ourselves. It is thought that we may have encountered Smilodon as far back as 25,000 years ago, and because our diet can include similar items, the relationship between humans and Smilodon was likely tense.
Makes it even worse. We could have done what we did with the dogs. I'm just saying. I mean, the wolves. We could have done what we did with the wolves, and we could have had Smilodons as pets, but people, niggas be selling.
Unfortunately for our kind, our timing was rather poor, as by the time people arrived, only Populator and Fatalis, the bigger species, were left standing. This made coexisting that much harder. And because Meganterion, the cat which Smilodon may have evolved from, was known to occasionally kill Homo erectus, it's been proposed that a few unlucky people were taken out by Smilodon too from time to time. However, thanks to our far superior technology, humans certainly got the best of some Smilodon as well. For now, there's no direct evidence of such battles, but in 2021, researchers did locate a petroglyph that seemed to depict a group of humans watching a Smilodon from afar, which highly suggests that interactions did happen. Sadly, or perhaps not sadly, the coexistence between humans and Smilodons was rather short-lived, as somewhere along the way from then to now, Smilodons were lost to history, with the youngest Fatalis and Populator remains both being dated to about 10,000 years ago, around the same time that farming was first taking place in certain parts of the world. The extinction of the saber-tooth is a topic surrounded by a lot of debate and mystery. Some believe that humans had a hand in its demise, outcompeting it and starting fires that led to habitat loss. And while most agree that humans weren't good for Smilodon's population, there is disagreement in how much of an impact we had.
Yeah, I don't think we did that much. I think they were inevitably going to fall apart any damn way. Because like I said, the middleman always dies in evolution. They always do, bro. It always happens. You had, think about it, monkeys, humans. The middleman that we're supposed to be, the middleman, it died off. It literally, it's the middleman. It's always the middleman.
With the more typical thought being that the loss of megafauna during the Quaternary extinction event was the true culprit. As many large animals died off in North and South America, the Smilodon had less and less prey to choose from. A curse of its own blessing, as it had evolved to be the perfect giant slayer. But unfortunately, there weren't many giants left. And soon enough, Smilodon died out, unable to adapt to this new world. Its ending marked the end of not only saber-toothed cats in the Western Hemisphere, but also worldwide, as it was the last member of its family who had been king throughout the globe for over 20 million years. Thanks for watching, and until next time, on ExtinctZoo.
Oh, that's crazy. Stop. Thank you. Let's take our ass back. Let's read some comments.
To become an apex
up. Damn. I live in Cody. I can imagine a cat with agility. With its agility, the size of a Kodak barrel would be a sight to behold at a distance. I don't even want to see it from a distance. I would rather just know somebody recorded it. Diego looking crazy in the thumbnail. What was the worst creature to run into during the Ice Age? I can think of at least 10 answers. Yeah, there's a lot of animals. They always use the worst creature to run into during this time. All of them were bad. Literally all of them. Literally every single one. I'd be terrified any animal named Knife-Tooth the Destroyer. I will now only refer to this animal as Knife-Tooth the Destroyer. The worst creature you can run into is just a meow meow. A really big meow meow, but still a meow. 2-minute long unskippable ad I got on this video. Ooh, man, that's tough. I feel bad for you, bro. Anyway, though. Oh! I don't want to talk about it. That's another video down pat. You know what I'm saying? I like learning about new things. There was a lot of talking in that video, though. It was kind of hard for me to commentate on that video when it's just talking. Like, how do you go over someone talking? It's a lot, but it was still fun though. I like watching videos like that. Suggestions? I'll watch anything, bro. as long as it's fun. Hey man, I'm gonna see y'all when I see y'all. You can see me what you're doing on my page. Just find everything there, bro. I already told you this. I react. I play games. I really need to switch up from Class of 09 because I'm getting closer and closer to the actual end of that gaming, and I do not want to be a one-trick pony. So give me more games if you like my videos and you want me to grow as a YouTuber. If I want to see you though, don't even worry about it, big bro. I'll find you. I'll find you wherever you go. You know what I'm saying? I'll follow you to the depths of the earth.
She like see with a green bean, shoot that bitch like I back to high. Introduce her to the dream team, then make up with no blow right. I did not hear what you did, I did not hear what you say, the sound of your mouth. She like see with a green bean, shoot that bitch like I back to high. Introduce her to the dream team, then make up with no blow